Sideline the baseline. We know we stay on our grind. Sideline the baseline. I'ma shoot my shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline the baseline. I'ma take it back from the goal line. Sideline the baseline. I'ma shoot my shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline the baseline. We know we stay on our grind. Sideline the baseline. I'ma shoot my shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline the baseline. We know we stay on our grind. Sideline.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sideline the Baseline with MB and K. Lou.
K. Lou
boys in the building. They back. The 1987 national champion, Miami. The U is in the building, y'all. Welcome. Roll call time. Tiger Bernard Clark in the building. Rod Holder, Greg Mark, Bill Hawkins, John O'Neill, Arthur Key. Oh, Gary Stevens. Yeah, that's Coach Steve for your boy Steve Walsh. He's still showing them pretty pearly whites. I don't know if they real or not, but they looking good. Dennis Keller, Dan Cilio, the mouth of the West Coast, baby. He in the building. Smooth Miss Silk, Melvin Bratton, Bennie Hitman Blaze in the building, and Brad Vesper. And
Vespi.
Close enough.
I said
close enough.
That's what the coaches used to call him.
Melvin Brown in the building. And he in 2 or 3 or 4 screens, so I don't know what's going on. MB, take it away, baby.
Take it away, Mike. Say something.
Hey, man. Hey, welcome, man. Hey, fellas, man, welcome, man. I appreciate y'all going on, man. Hey, I definitely appreciate it. I know a lot of you guys probably first time using Zoom, so I appreciate the sacrifice, man. Hey, we want to just jump right in it, man. When you talk about that 87 season, surprising to me, man, it was like people underestimate y'all. You know, people saying, oh, man, we lost it in 86. We lost some key players with Bennie Testaverde. My man Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome, the late great Jerome Brown. And so a lot of people, man, were sleeping on you guys heading to the season. All right, even though we had 9 returners on defense, we had a question mark at quarterback, and that question mark definitely was answered during the season, man. But tell me about the season coming out the bitter loss against Penn State, heading to the season. What was your mindset? What was you guys' mindset? Melvin, once you started off. Mel, you there?
Frozen.
Uh-oh, he
Gotta pay that internet bill.
All right.
All of us was like devastated because we.
Yeah,
I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, Mel, you
Can y'all hear me?
Your neighbor Wi-Fi, man.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Let's go to Steve. Go to Steve.
Yeah,
Mike.
go ahead, Steve. Talk about it.
I'm going Bennie. Bennie, you talk about it because you were on the field in Penn State. I wasn't on the field. I was sitting there on the sideline telling the ball to Alonzo.
Go ahead. Hey, Bennie, you know, you're right, baby. Go ahead and talk about it, man. As far as, you know, coming off a devastating loss and now heading to the 87 season, man, a lot of people sleeping on y'all. All right. As far as I think it was 3 consecutive bowl losses from 83. You look at it like, man, we're going to get this thing rolling. And then all of a sudden, man, just coming up short. And then now, once again, devastating loss against Penn State. All right, what was the mindset heading into that 87 season, man?
I'll tell you what the mindset was, Mike. We were probably the most talented team in college football in 1986.
No doubt.
Bar none, okay? And when you lose to a Penn State team that really didn't do anything all game, the seniors coming in that next year say, I guarantee you, we will not lose a game. And we held every man accountable. I don't care from the practice squad, the starters. Everybody had to be held accountable week in, week out. I tell you what, our practices were probably harder that year than the games. So, you know what I mean? It was just about the accountability that whole football season.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Bill, hey, why don't you jump in and add to that, man?
Yeah, I also played in that game in that year, and it was a terrible loss. We used to just say we played on defense. I mean, the offense had more first downs and yards than, you know, any other 3 teams on that, you know, New Year's Day or game. But we just came back, worked really hard. A lot of guys come back. I mean, we lost. You forgot about Winston Moss. Winston Moss used to personally scare me every day in practice. I thought he was going to kill me. All right. But we came back. We had a good core of guys on defense. Offense, we didn't know what to expect, but Lord have mercy, they came out and took it to Florida, beat the shit out of them. The only points they had were 2 snaps from
Willis
going over Feagle's head. But we came out strong, worked hard, and got it done.
Hey, Bill, if you remember in that game, we gave up fewer first downs, 6, than we had turnovers in that game. We held them to 150 yards, and we had 450. And I'm sitting there with all my guys and Jerome, and we're sitting there looking at this going, this can't be true. This can't be real. Now, I became ineligible. I couldn't play in '87, but we came out of that game. I remember we had our first team meeting, and I'll tell you, man, when we walked into that locker room, I had never, and I've heard Arkeo talk about this. I walked in that locker room, man. I could not believe how close we were to perfection, to greatness, being called the greatest team, like Bennie said. Not Bennie, not just in school history, but we would have been called the greatest team in the history of college football. That's how people were looking at us and all of that, man. I mean, we just were so dominant that year. And to see what these guys did with all the holes that they said they had, which they didn't, to go on and win a national championship like that, I'll tell you what, man, I was up in Tampa with Winston and Bennie, and I could not believe what was going on. And it was really great to see those guys pick up for what we failed to do, and those guys cross the finish line. It was one of the greatest things watching. That '87 team, you can talk and say whatever they are, but I'll tell you what, those guys came back, and they won it for that entire program. It was fucking a great accomplishment.
Hey, Black, why don't you jump in, man, and talk about y'all mindset heading into the '87 season?
Well, first of all, let me touch bases on this, Mike. That game right there pierced me so hard, man.
Yes, it
I'm
did.
serious, man. The pain from that game, man. I didn't watch that game until 20 years later.
Yeah,
and that's a true story, man.
Wow.
Couldn't watch it, because the pain, man, to be on top, to put in so much work. To get out there and the camaraderie that we had with the fellas, man, dude, it crushed me to lose that game. But like I say, we came back, man. We bounced back. We worked hard. We knew we were good, but we put in the work also.
Right.
We get these other teams, man. We get these other teams. We play these other teams. Nobody conditioned harder than us. Nobody ran the hills harder than us. Nobody competed in scrimmages harder than us, and we made each other better, man. So that was the mentality and the mindset that we had, just like Bennie alluded to, the accountability, man. We held everyone accountable, man. Do your job.
Right.
Do your job and let's get it done, and we did.
Yeah, well said.
Hey, Black, hold on, Black. Tell them the story. I'm back, goddammit. Listen, Black. Hey, Black. Tell them you about to kill Testaverde in the locker room. We'll talk about it on another show. Oh God.
Hey, Mel, you remember what Alonzo said? He stood up on the chair. He looked around and he went, 20 motherfuckers played their asses off. 20 dudes played their. I went, oh my God. I put my head down and I was like, oh man. He goes, 20 guys played their asses off. And he got down and I was like, oh man.
But you know what, though? You know what? I saw something later. I didn't realize that. And I guess we had a show, either Mike, somebody had brought up on one of these shows that I didn't know Jimmy Johnson went next door into their locker room and congratulated them. That blew me away, dog.
I just heard that.
Yeah, I heard that too. I was like, he went over there and he stood up in front of them and gave a speech to the team and congratulated them, man. That was class on his part,
I just heard that, Mel, that he went over there and did that.
Yeah.
Right.
Gary, did you know that he went over there?
Gary still can't hear us.
Can't hear us.
I'm texting his daughter now. She's trying to fix it.
I was on a call with another coach, and he brought that up. I had never heard that story in the 30-some years,
Yeah,
and,
right.
That he actually went over there and congratulated. But here's what I did hear, Danny, is that he said, "I want to congratulate you guys, but I'd like to play you next week."
Hey, Steve, let me tell you one last story with that, man. There was like 5 seconds left in the game. Bill, you maybe remember this, and I'll show you what kind of love we had for one another and everybody in the room. We're standing there, and the coaches wanted to take us out because we had dominated them so much. And I'll never forget everybody to a man. Bill, you may remember this. There was 5 seconds left, and we had to go back out there, and the coaches didn't want to send us out. We said, fuck that. We're going back out, finishing this bitch off. And we went back out. They took a knee, and that was the end of it. And I just had so much. Our guys looked at each other. We listened to those guys talking shit to us. And I'll just never forget, just like you said, man, Selwyn, that loss hurts so much. It still hurts to this day. And I just remember turning and walking off the field going, holy shit, I can't believe this, man. Never forget that loss as long as I live.
Wow. Hey, Arthur Francis Keogh III, man, talk about that, man. Talk about the mindset after that loss heading into the season.
I just remember coming in that locker room and you know, it was like horrifying, and you know, guys crying, laying on the floor, and just, you know, it took a lot out of people, man. And we, you know, like everybody says, we dominated the game. We had, you know, 20 some first downs to their 6 and 450 yards to their 150, but you know, we turned it over a couple times and then missed a couple kicks, and that's the difference of the game. But you know, they were good, but we were better, and we got beat.
Well, let's move forward, man. That game over. Y'all crying, man. Let's go to the championship. This is 87. God damn, man. Y'all forgot about this old ass game. Yeah, we lost. Let's talk about this Oklahoma, baby. Let's go.
Hey, no doubt about it, man.
Hey, we gonna fire y'all asses up, Mike. You and Clint, we taking over this show, bro.
Hey, I'm trying to get it out, man, because what I'm trying to figure out, man, hey, is the motivation heading into the season, right? So talk about the season. Let me
tell you this. We had a rookie quarterback named Steve Walsh that nobody in Dade, Broward, or Monroe County thought this little skinny kid from Minnesota was going to pull Minnesota. Yeah, where you from? Minneapolis, whatever you're from. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something, though, what was so brilliant, and I use this in all my meetings with quarterbacks and wide receivers. I tell any wide receiver in recruiting, make the quarterback your best friend. Take him to lunch, meet with him on Thursday the night before. I'm going to tell you what Mike Irvin did was so brilliant, and I didn't realize it until like week 2 or 3 of that year. Every pass Steve would drop back, he freaking looking for Mike Irvin. He holding the ball. I'm like, what the hell is going on with him and Mike? So I had to get my passes. I just take the D lineman, the DN, and throw his ass inside, and then step across the line and wave my hand. And then Steve had to get the ball out of his hand, and that's only I got some of my catches for the first 3 games. An article comes out, Mike Irvin leading the country in the reception yards. And Mike had a plan to go supplemental. It was a massive plan. This dude went up and spent a week with Steve. I saw that article. My mouth dropped. He's going to a Catholic church, bending down. The devil was in the church. The devil was in the church in Minnesota with Steve. He having dinner. He woke up, him and Steve with buddies. They going to eat ice cream on swings and shit. I mean, I'm sitting like, I couldn't believe this, man. So I said, this son of a gun went and got to Steve Walsh because he knew. And Steve fed him the ball. I said, you know what? I tell all the quarterbacks and all the receivers down that I recruit, I said, listen, bro, make him your best friend. But that was brilliant on Mike's part, Steve, but he used you.
Well, let me just, I used him too. So we're
results like that usually all the time.
Hey, so let me just, because 30 years, stories get drawn out a little bit. But all right, so here's the deal though, Mel.
Tell the truth. I want to hear the damn truth.
And so Michael was going up there to be in some camp or something. Ricky Foggy was the quarterback up in Minnesota, and so he was going up to do something there for something. So of course, Mike isn't going to miss an opportunity with the media. So he's like, all right, listen. And so I said, well, let's make sure we work out. So we went over to the U to work out and throw. There wasn't a single DB that wanted to cover Michael. Everybody was grabbing their hamstring. No, I'm okay. So anyways, we worked out probably twice with some of the Gopher guys. But Michael was like, hey, we got to spin this now. When we get back, we got to make sure we tell everybody we spent the summer together, and because that's going to be a good story. So of course we did that. But
okay,
now
thank you.
He did come over and have dinner with my parents and family, and as some of the guys on the show know, that they will put out a good spread in a hurry, right?
Yes.
Brad and Dennis.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, but so that was the deal. But let me just stop there for a second, Mel. So this little dump pass that I would throw to you, let's be real. I mean, Art,
Don't you
Gary,
say it. Don't you say it. Don't you
the
say it.
blocking scheme, the base blocking scheme that we had, it was called 50 protection, and Melvin had to block Danny Stubbs in spring ball. Well, Melvin couldn't block Danny Stubbs. He might get in his way, and then Stubbs was coming down on me. So one day in practice, Melvin missed another block, and I was like, oh shit, and I threw him the ball. And we're like, wait a second, we got a little play here. So then we put that in, but it started because Melvin couldn't or didn't want to block Danny Stubbs.
I was too pretty. No, I was too cute, man. I was too handsome. I didn't believe in that crap. I wasn't blocking nobody, bro.
But that, it's funny because in the Orange Bowl, that play comes up. I throw a terrible pass to you, but you pull it off the turf basically and run for 15 yards like you normally do. So.
Hey, let me say this, and I'm gonna shut up. So listen, I tell this story all the time.
Right.
Y'all go to hell. So listen, I tell people how competitive it was. Somebody spoke about, Celia spoke how competitive it was as far as our practices. I tell people this story right here. I don't know if y'all remember this. Bennie, you are crazy. So we had spring that year, and I remember your mom and your dad was sitting in the stands, and God bless it. I remember when Brian had ran his slant, and he was in cover 3. Bennie took 3 steps, and he saw Brian coming on that. He knew the route. Do y'all recall?
Melvin,
He
let
went
him break
full
in
speed.
and tell his own
No,
story.
because he ain't gonna tell it like this. No, I'm gonna tell you what he said. So he knocked the crap out of his own brother, right? Stood over him and started shooting him with the guns like he normally do. His mom yells from the stands, "Bennie, don't you hit my baby out there?" Bennie said, "Mama, come get his ass from out here. He ain't got no business out here. If he out here, I'm gonna knock his ass out every single time." Who does that to this mom, man? You tell the mom that understands that, bro.
Hey, Melvin, tell these guys everyone knows this, man. How about them? I was talking to somebody the other day. I was talking to Jimmy about this. Our 9-on-7s and our inside drills, I know you can't do that stuff anymore, but those inside drills that we used to have during the middle of the week, like everyone says those games on Saturdays were so easy. My God almighty, first teams against first teams. And we're going against you and Alonzo and our defense, and we're going back and forth. Art, you notice, man, them 9-on-7s were crazy.
They were crazy.
I need some chapstick.
Hey, you need more than that, Selwyn.
I'm so really black. Really. Put the mic on.
Donuts over there, Black. Someone needs some chapstick.
I'm so sick of Selwyn around here trying to use his son body and put his head on it.
Hey, I'm gonna keep y'all off of me in a few minutes. I'm gonna get y'all off of me.
Hey, Rod Holder. Hey, jump in there, man. Talk about those battles with Dan. Talk about those 907, man. Talk about that, bro.
Man, first of all, we ain't call them 907. We ain't call them inside. We call them middle drill. I remember, first middle drill of camp. I mean, you used to stay up all night, fire the fuck up about, hey, tomorrow's middle drill. I mean, you geeked up. I mean, that first middle drill was, that's when the season for us kicked off, as far as training camp, the whole 9. So, that middle drill, that what made us, and they obviously they don't do it like that anymore. We try to tell our kids, what, the difference between middle drill and middle drill was just something of its own kind, bring guys to the ground. But that actually, that's what made us, the middle drill.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Brad Vespi, why don't you jump in, man? Talk about some classics, green tree moments, baby.
He's a cheap shot artist. He's a cheap shot artist, the little bastard. He's a cheap shot
Brad,
artist.
unmute yourself. Defend yourself, Brad. Get him off you.
Unmute, Brad.
Brad, unmute yourself. You was just showing that he don't disobey. Come on, Brad, unmute yourself.
All right. Yo, am I on yet or no?
Yeah, you
Yes.
are. Baby,
There you go.
Yeah, you cheap shot artist, yes.
Yeah. That's why Melvin used to come down to my locker and say, "Yo, Vespi, I'm playing in the game. You don't need to be coming up and playing game day." Anyway, you know who has the best story? The best story on it right now that I was told when Tiger came into town about a year or two ago is he roomed with Playmaker. And I'm going to let Tiger tell the story. But, Tiger, you could finish the story. But I thought that was the best 1987 story about the MVP. And if Tiger wants to tell it, if he's still on, I'll tell it. But if he's on, go ahead, Tiger.
No, I'm on. I mean, the story. Well, I'll tell you this first. I told Melvin this. If Melvin doesn't get hurt, Melvin's the most valuable player. There's no doubt about it. You watch that game, Melvin's definitely the most valuable player if he doesn't get hurt. But that week, when that week was going on, I remember the year before with Oklahoma, their starting linebacker Bosworth got put out in the Orange Bowl also because of a situation that he was stuck in. So Michael and I during the week, Mike Irvin, we were sitting in the room, we're talking, and Mike looks at me and say, "Oh, Ty, you might as well get ready to give me that MVP trophy." I was like, "No, bro, not this one. This was set up for me. I'm going to win this one all day long." I said, "The stage is set. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The stage is set for me. The guy last year won it. I'm stepping in. I'm going to win it." So it's one of those situations where we were just talking, bantering back and forth. And, when Mike brags, you got to brag too. If you don't brag, Mike's going to constantly brag. So I had to just say something. The great thing about it, guys, after I did it, actually one of the guys that told me during the game I was probably going to win it was Bill. Bill Hawkins was the one that told me, "Hey, Ty, you got a shot at this thing. Go out there and play your heart out, do what you're supposed to do. You have a shot at this thing." I wasn't even, like I said, I was joking around with Mike, but it just happened to turn out that way. But again, like I said before, guys, if Melvin doesn't get hurt, that thing hands down goes to Melvin.
Hey, Greg, why don't you talk about that game, man? Talk about the championship game. Talk about the atmosphere built, the game of the century. Oklahoma, #1 team in the nation. All right, top offense, high-powered scoring, all that stuff, man. Talk about the game, man.
Well, let me first thank Dan Cilio for becoming eligible, and then having Jimmy Johnson come to me and say, hey, Greg, you think you can play tackle? Coach, I just got off the scout, was 232 pounds. Damn right I can play tackle. Son of a bitch. Stop transferring. You'd have been there playing with us. But, just Michael, just to touch on that game, I'll tell you what, we played that whole season with a chip on our shoulder, and I will go back to the 86 season before I get to there real quick and say, when you lose a game of that magnitude, like we did, where we shouldn't have lost, and how bad it hurt, that sends a team in one of two different directions. We took the high road. We took the work harder, prove something, chip on our shoulder, as Jimmy would say, press on. That whole season we played our tails off and went out there and we had a lot of fun doing it too. If you watch some of the highlights, I know the two worst dancers on the team were number 94 and number 54. Me and Bill tried to do the cabbage match.
It didn't go over so better than it looked.
And going into that Oklahoma game, let me tell you, it was a big, bad, mighty run game, triple option against the finesse power or the finesse speedy defense. We took it to those boys. I mean, we had something to prove, and we were flying around on defense. Obviously, Steve was throwing darts, and Melvin was having a game of his life. So it was one of those special moments in the Orange Bowl. I can think of a few throughout my career that stand out, and that game definitely stood out really large.
No doubt, man. And you mentioned about the two worst dancer, man, but based on Sports Illustrated, the best kisser, man, was Dennis Keller. What's he talking about? Talk about that, Dennis, man. What's up, man?
Tiger said I should have had MVP for the game for that. And I can tell you, Jimmy wasn't happy about it either. Jimmy thought he was going to be on the cover. But in all honesty, that game, it was all validation for all our classes here. 84, 85, 86, 87, all the kids, all the guys, and the coaches, Stevens, Art, everybody was looking for some validation. Most weren't around at 83. Howard took all of them, and a lot had left. So it was a special group that had been so close. And then for Steve to come in there and pull it off, we knew we had the defense. Bennie was strong. It was just fun, but I was just so happy for dudes that are right now. It's just validation. I mean, we knew it, but the rest of the country didn't know it. So
we got bro on the phone. Bro, Gary Stevens, I see you, bro.
That's me.
There he is.
Where's Mel?
Harry.
Coach.
Let me tell you two things. You were talking about Penn State. Do you know that Penn State came down that year when we were in spring ball to watch us practice?
What?
But that didn't let them win the game. My point being, they came into my office, the offensive staff. You know what they said to me?
What they
How
say?
how do you get those guys to practice like they do? We can't get that. That's a credit to you people. You bust ass. You guys were competitive. They said, we cannot get our kids to practice the way you practice. All right, now let me go to the game. This game, the championship game, was I'm speaking for myself, and I think for Coach Johnson and all the other coaches and the guys that played in the Penn State game and we got beat. That victory that you guys brought us was a redemption. We redeemed ourselves. You took that sick feeling out of our belly and let us enjoy victory. That was a great game. You guys, I'm so proud of you guys. I love you guys. It was a pleasure to coach you guys just because the way you practiced and competed against each other in practice, which made the games easier. And Penn State says, we can't get our guys to practice the way you guys practice. I love you guys.
Hey, Coach. Hold on, Coach. Can you give us one of those
I thought you was done
pregame?
talking.
No, I am. Fuck that. I'm taking over this show. This MLB show.
I want to say one more thing about that game. I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead, Coach.
Steve, I can't remember for sure. I'll give you two things. In the championship game, we beat Nebraska. The biggest defensive play in the history of Miami is Kenny Calhoun knocking that 2-point. That's the best ever. It won't ever be topped because that brought the first national championship game to our school and put us on the map. That was a big. In this game here, I may be wrong. Steve will know. I believe we were either third or fourth and four.
Fourth and
and
four.
we threw a pass.
Fourth and four.
Fourth and four to Mel Bratton.
Yep.
Caught the ball. We made the first down, scored the touchdown to go ahead. Am I correct?
Yep.
That to me is the biggest single play in the history of Miami. And there's a lot of big ones now. I can be wrong, but I'm prejudiced, but I think that was it. And I think that one that Kenny Calhoun knocked that 2-point conversion down for sure is the biggest play in the history, defensive play in the history of Miami. And that
Hey, here's a cigarette.
Fourth and
cigarette.
four.
Here's a cigarette.
It's always the common denominator.
You know, if we blow that, we
Gary
probably don't win the game. We probably don't win the game, but we
No,
win and score.
Hey,
Now,
Mike.
John, the O-line getting slighted again, man. Jump in there, O-line guys, and talk about what the game was to you, because Oklahoma's supposed to be coming in there having a big, bad defense, too.
Yeah, so I think, the thing people forget, and we know, Bernard kind of filled in, but we had some of our own challenges on the line. And what I kind of think about is I wasn't able to play, and then Matt Patchen, if you remember, gets hurt. So you've got two new tackles in there. Scott Probin has to step out to the side. You got Kiffer. Darren Bruce steps in. And I think that when you kind of talk about a credit into the work ethic the team had, it really was about kind of how people cared for each other and stepped in. And the job like Art and Tony did with the offensive line, that two guys that kind of had to fill in and stepped in and played well the whole time, I think is just, fantastic. And I think our line that year really was a group that did well together, got along well together and worked well together. I mean, it was, I think it was Rod's first year starting, right? And so the only real returning starters were me and Matt. And so, Sully, Scotty, Bobby. So a lot of new guys, but they really cared for each other that year. I think that made it special too.
Well, Tony Wise and RQ did a great job.
Right. No doubt.
Great job
no
with
doubt.
that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
Great job.
Well, so,
Great
hey,
job.
Steve,
Hey, Mike, let me touch base. So
yeah,
it's
go
funny.
ahead.
I think Tiger and I did this thing on another network about this game. And so I got to watch it again, after 30 some years, how many times I've seen it, I guess. But, what I picked up on, there was 2 4th and 1s where Barry Switzer did not go for it. And, looking back at that game, I mean, the one was on our side of the 50-yard line and he punts the ball. And I was shocked. I was telling Tiger, I was shocked that he didn't go for it in those situations, because coming into that game, they had the #1 rushing offense, which is
Right.
pretty typical of what OU was at the time. And I think they also had the #1 total defense.
Right.
But, going into that game, Gary did such a great job preparing us offensively. And, I just remember him sitting in watching film with him way past 10 o'clock in the evening, Gary. But the thing was, I mean, as a coach, you got to inspire, you got to motivate, right? And he kept looking at the film saying, these guys aren't that good. Look at the teams they're playing. They're not even blocking this, outside linebacker, and he's getting a free sack. And
right.
So it was that mental motivation and kind of a, psychology twist that Jimmy Johnson always seemed to bring to the team. But, they convinced us that they weren't that good on defense. And of course, our offensive line is just in a shambles because John isn't able to play, and Matt Patchen gets hurt, as we all know what happened. For some reason, he was jumping up and down with the crutches after the game, but I must have miraculously healed up. But anyways, so they just did a great job of motivating us and putting us in position. And the first touchdown, I mean, our formula was always the same. We wanted to go down and get 3 or 7 on the first drive. And that put our defense, which was the strength of that team, in a position to play with the lead. And we were able to do it, and we were able to get Melvin down the sideline. And they were confused on substitution, and Melvin made a beautiful catch. And but the 4th and 1 where they didn't go for it, and then Jimmy going for it on 4th and 4, and Melvin making me look good again with a nice catch as it started to rain. And then I think 2 plays later, we were able to hit Michael in the corner of the end zone and really cement the game. So
that's one of the biggest plays in the history of Miami. And when you talk about Barry not going for it on 4th and 1 and twice, why? Because we had a great defense, and he was scared. We had a great defense, and he was scared to go and give the ball up. That's why.
Hey, Mike, the thing
defense.
about it, and Greg, Mark, and I were talking about it earlier. It's the depth we had. I mean, that's the thing that was so important. People don't understand the depth that we had. I mean, when Cilio and Jerome went to the pros, I mean, the guys just stepped in right behind them. Those guys were just as good. That was the thing about Miami. I always tell people, like, when I played linebacker, it was me.
Right.
And after I left, it was you, Mike. And after you left, it was Nate Webster.
Right.
Then it was Ray Lewis. Then it was Dan Morgan. And then it was, and that's what people don't understand. I mean, and me and Greg were talking about it earlier. When I got in the game, I'm playing behind Derwin Jones, and I'm playing behind Greg. And we got Bill on the outside, and we got Jimmy Jones substitute. We got so many guys up front. And then me and Greg talked about our senior year, we got freaking Russell Maryland and Cortez Kennedy inside. We got Greg Mark and Shane Curry. Nobody in our starting lineup went less than the 3rd round.
Exactly.
Nobody. And that was the depth that we had in the way the coaches recruited. And I just want to thank Coach Stevens right here in front of you guys, man. If it wasn't for Coach Stevens, I never came to Miami. Coach Stevens was one that came to my house. I'll tell you guys a crazy story. Coach Stevens came to my house, guys, and he was recruiting me. He was sitting down with me, and he lit up like he walked in the house. He lit up like he always lit up, smoking a cigarette in the house. Asked my mom and dad, "Hey, you got an ashtray? I need to light up." So Coach Stevens sits down in the chair. He lights a cigarette. He starts smoking. He looks at me. He said, "Hey, you can get out of here. I don't need to talk to you. I need to talk to your parents. Go out and hang out with your friends. I'm going to convince them how important it is for you to come to the University of Miami." And that's one of the reasons I went to Miami, because he came in and he talked to my parents. He didn't waste the time talking to me. He knew how important it was for my parents to know when I was going, it's going to be safe. It's going to be a good place. I can go and win some games. He told me what everybody always said. You said you can come to Miami and you can play with us, or you can go somewhere else and you can lose to us. So that's up to you. You handle it how you want to handle it. So I want to thank Coach Stevens also.
Hey, Bernard, listen to this, man. To that point there, I'll never forget Cortez Kennedy.
When was the last time you called me Bernard? But go ahead, okay.
So check it out, man. So Jimmy brings in, and God rest her soul, Cortez's mom just passed away. What a wonderful lady. I think he had to go, if I'm not mistaken, he had to go to junior college, but Jimmy brought him in. And Jerome and I, and Selwyn or Bennie, I don't know, maybe you guys were on the recruiting trip with him, and we took him around. Jerome and I took him around. He was such a great guy. We both looked at him and said, hey, you want to be part of this here? Because I'll tell you what, it's the greatest fraternity in the history. Just like Coach Stevens said, let me tell you something. I loved every single one of the guys I played with at the University of Miami. And I look at every one of those guys. We fought together. We ate together. We won together. We lost together. It's one of the greatest times of my life. Outside of my kid being born, I'll never forget being part of that whole family, man, because to me, there was nothing like it. And I've not seen anything in my life that duplicates going to the pros, getting drafted, doing this. Nothing compares to doing what we did. Nothing.
Man, so Bennie, jump in there, man. Like the championship game, did you guys feel like you had a chip on your shoulder or something to prove defensively?
Hey, while we had something to prove defensively, I'm gonna go all the way back to that Sugar Bowl when we got our ass trashed against Tennessee. I'm gonna go all the way back there. Okay.
Hey, on and off the field, we got trashed.
We came back that next year, we went undefeated, and then defensively, we beat up on a Penn State team. We came back, we go undefeated again, and I'd be damned if we were gonna lose again for 3 national titles in a row. No, we weren't gonna lose again. And plus we inserted, remember this, we inserted Darryl Fullington into the secondary. And Dan Stubbs used to always call us the Toastettes. It wasn't Bennie and the Jets. It was Bennie and the Toastettes. Man, Dan and Stubbs were rolling us all week. So me and Selwyn the safeties, and when they put Darryl in the game and Dan turned around, he said, and you better not play like you did all year. Or I'm kicking your ass. Look, man, we got the #1 secondary in the country. Y'all just tackle them suckers up front. We didn't want having that, boy. So we played our butt off that night, only because we was afraid of Dan Stubbs.
That's awesome.
Hey,
Melvin, no one can hear you. Melvin, freeze it up.
Hey, Bennie. Yeah, at the Ironhead at. Y'all can hear me now?
Look, there you go, Melvin. Look at
Melvin using that Metro Wi-Fi. Stop using that Metro PCS Wi-Fi, man.
Bring that up.
No, look. I knew you had to bring that up, but me and Selwyn had a headache because Dan Stubbs and look at you too, Silio. Ain't none of y'all tackle Ironhead to this day. Y'all ain't tackle that boy. And he man, look.
Hey, Bennie.
Because of that game, that guy, oh my, hey, listen to this. So we get in the locker room and we're sitting there after Ironhead goes for 250 yards. We cannot.
275, bro. 275.
Tiger, all of a sudden, here comes Wanstead.
Yes.
We have all of our water out there and our Gatorade. He comes walking in. He flips that table. You motherfuckers! You fucking! I looked over at Jerome and I go, "We did win 38-3." Hey, Bill, remember we did win 38-3.
Hey, Bennie, do you remember what was going on when Ironhead was playing, Bennie, and he started playing good? It was like the iron is warm. They put up another sign. The iron is getting warmer. And then when he hit by 200 yards, it's like the iron is hot.
After that game, I remember one play. I turned around and looked at the goal line. I say, damn, this motherfucker coming again. Man, look. We got on the plane on the way home, and y'all know how my brother is. He always want to clown everybody having a good time. I said, don't you say shit. Don't you say shit. Man, I had the biggest headache coming home.
Oh, man.
was a
Tell about the
brutal
neck
game,
rolls. The neck rolls at practice the next day. The neck rolls.
Tell them about that, Selma, because there ain't nobody attacking nobody the week before.
Hey, Mike, go ahead and jump in, Sel.
I got to tell a quick story about Hawk, though. So Hawk and I roomed together. I guess, what was it? Was it the 87 season or going in? Anyways, the spring before, Bill just kept, we'd sleep, you have to share the bedroom in 36 there. And he kept saying to me, Steve, don't screw up the national championship next year. Please don't screw it up. Please don't screw up. That was like his mantra all spring. So we get to the game. I throw that one pick in the first half, and all I could hear is Hawkins going, Steve, don't screw up the national championship game.
Gotta be mentally tough, baby.
Right.
Hey, Steve, I know you kind of mentioned it, but talk through that. Talking about games, man. Talk about that Florida State game as far as that play, that touchdown, the last touchdown pass you threw to Michael. Was it like an audible or something like that? I mean, you talking about historical plays. Talk through that.
Well, I'm going to give you 3 touchdowns because we weren't doing shit.
Right, who's that?
I remember I had this crazy idea because they like to play man-to-man, of course, to check to an option. And I called option 8. I don't know if it was John or Provin that looked at me like, what the are you calling? Option 8. So anyways, but we finally got it going. But the play that we scored on, and Melvin and I kind of played with this little adjustment. We had that 80 short angle out, right, Mel? And where you ran to the flat. Well, then we had a little hand signal where he'd start to the flat and then go up the middle. And so we were able to check and make that adjustment. And I was able to hit Melvin, and he ran away from everybody for a long touchdown. And all of a sudden, we had momentum going.
Yes.
And then the next touchdown, and of course we got a 2-point conversion right after that. Then the next touchdown, they blitzed us, and Michael was in the slot, and he ran his adjustment down the middle of the defense. But what you don't see on film is Warren Williams, who's supposed to block the Will linebacker to the left, and that guy doesn't come, but he wraps all the way back to the strong side linebacker. Well, now in football, that's commonplace. The back scan from one side, but that wasn't. And I don't know if Brodsky ever coached that, or Gary or Art.
Yes, he did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
He came all the way back. He gets a piece of the linebacker, which allows me to throw the ball, and just doing your job, or maybe even doing more than your job. So we hit Michael down the middle, and now it's a tie game. Shortly thereafter, I think Stubbs. Somewhere in there, Stubbs intercepted a screen pass, or they fumbled a snap. And then the next long touchdown pass was, and I love throwing this against our defense because Michael was so good and physical about getting around a jam, and he would convert his out route to a fade. And I could get the ball in there quick before the safety would come over on cover 2. And I saw the defense, and we checked to it. Gary gave me a lot of freedom at the line of scrimmage to call audibles. And so Michael was going down the sideline. I snuck the ball in there before the safety, and he made the guy miss, and he took off down the sideline. So, I just had to get it to my playmakers, and they did the rest. And that was the theme of the 87 season.
To this day, Steve, my man Dedrick Dodge cannot stop talking about that play. I mean, that was like every time they show the thing on TV, he said, Coach, I can't. He said, I'm talking to him about the Miami-Florida State game last week. He said, I'm so tired of seeing that play on TV. I said, bro, let it go. You won 2 Super Bowls. You won 2 Super Bowls in the NFL. Why are you still talking about that play you got beat on that fade? He said, because they keep showing it on TV over and over. All you can see is him chasing Mike downfield, and Mike's running into the end zone. So he still talks about it.
Wow, Greg, man, you guys started off and playing 3 ranked teams. First 3 games out of the box, you ended up defeating 6 of them en route to the national championship, man. Talk to us about, what it's like looking at your schedule preseason and saying, dang, we're going to have to come out on fire and finish on fire.
Well, I've always liked to go in, and I'm looking at when I looked at the schedule prior to the season, I'd always like to go in and say, okay, that's a win. That's a win. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. That's a win. That's a win. And I'd always come in my head, there's always 2 tough games. So we're always 10-2 at the worst. But this year, obviously going in, after what we've already talked about having children, we went in and just beat the shit out of Florida. That wasn't even that was a joke of a game. As a rivalry, that was, and we went out there and really showed up. But I'll tell you what was probably one of the most fun games that we played was when we went up to Arkansas. I don't know if any of you guys remember. That was Jimmy's old stomping ground. He's up there. They didn't give him the job, so Jimmy was as nervous as I've ever seen him, and it kind of translated over. He really wanted us to play well. And I guess they were either 9 or 10 in the country at the time. They were number 10, and they were supposed to have this big offensive line and big running game, and then we went up there in their own place and just put a whooping on them, 51-7. And I want to say that kind of really solidified, I think, ourselves with Jimmy in that time with Coach Johnson when he was. Because we went up there and it just kind of showed to me, I think, in the way I felt that, hey, listen, we're good enough to go beat anybody in the country. When we're motivated, there's nobody that can touch us. And when we wanted to play for Jimmy, we went up and we wanted to win that one for him. We didn't just want to win it. We were throwing bombs when we were up 45, and we're trying to show out. So it was a challenging schedule, which we've always had. Before we got into the conference, we would have to just go out and play everybody we could, and that's kind of where we started the season every year. And every game, like everybody said, practices were most definitely the preparation for those games. The games weren't as they were nothing compared to what we did in practice. Even going, but we showed up when the crowd showed up. I remember Danny Stubbs. He's in the locker room. He's got dumbbells, and I'm going, what the hell are you doing? We're about to play a game. He goes, ABC game, baby, ABC game. Back at the gun show. I'd say we were pretty showtime at that point.
Hey, Melvin, do you remember when we were walking onto the field? I don't know if you guys remember this. We're walking out onto the field, and all I hear the fans saying is, see all that damn pepper, where's the salt? I don't see any salt on that damn team. All that pepper out there. I'm like, wow. I may just say that. You guys don't remember them saying that? The fans were just going off on us.
You talking about the Arkansas? Yeah,
Arkansas.
the Suey sound. I would tell you a real funny story, Mike Irvin and I. So we had got like a couple penalties and we got backed up into the end zone. So it was a TV timeout. So remember they had the band, it was in the end zone. There was a cute little black chick that was in there. So I'm throwing kisses at the girl. So Mike,
how the hell would you notice that?
Yeah, no. Mike pulled his shirt up trying to show his abs to the girl. So me and him going back and forth while the TV timeout. So it is third, Gary, you remember this? It was third and like 40-something yards. It was a long, long play. So we told the girl, I said, listen, I'm going to get this first down. I'm going to come back and get you. Mike said, no, I'll be back to get you because I'm going to get the first down. We threw a strike to Mike. Mike went all the way down, and he got Steve Atwater ran him out of bounds right before on our sideline. Y'all remember him running way back around to the end zone. Think about it. He went way back around and went to the girl. Yeah, he went to the girl. He said, I told you I was coming back to get you, baby. I'm telling you. That's what he was doing. We had a bet with the girl. The cheerleader was coming back to get her in the band.
Hey, Selma, was that you and Donnie playing tic-tac-toe?
Yeah.
Or Bennie and Donnie?
No, me and Donnie.
Playing tic-tac-toe on the sideline. Was up 51-7?
Yeah, it cost me though. It cost. We had to meet Jimmy Johnson. It cost me.
Coach Johnson out there.
Yeah, Monday morning it cost me, baby.
Man, Dennis and Bill, man, I'm looking at again these games, man, and different teams are jumping out at me because you blowing out Florida, but it seems like you getting a tough game out of Virginia Tech and Toledo. Talk to us about those games. Was it such games like that where you guys just kind of, man, we got this one, and then go out there with that same kind of fight, or what really happened?
No TV.
That was probably on me.
No TV.
No TV.
The thing I can say about all the games, whether it was Toledo or whoever or somebody who was good, we never were really tight. We always just played loose. If they got a first down, whatever, we would stop them. Somebody on the team would get an interception, cause a fumble, whatever. We just knew, so we just, it didn't matter. We may not have performed perfectly every time, but we had confidence. We knew we were going to be fine, and it worked out.
Yeah, but I don't know if this was against Toledo or Virginia Tech, and I'm sure those games were close because I probably played like shit or something.
Probably.
So in our goal line package, we had a thing called sneak check with me. So we were going to run the sneak, which I never called, but usually it was we're going to run a dive play with Melvin or maybe a dive play with Warren Williams, the other tailback, but I also had the ability to call a pass play, fake the dive and throw it. So it was one of those games. I think it was Toledo, and I called it, and I threw a touchdown pass to probably Alfredo Roberts. Jimmy got so far up my ass. He's like, "You son of a bitch! What are you throwing the ball down there for?" He was so pissed. But I was like, that's what we do, So, but yeah, it was those games, man. You think back at what was at stake, and like Bill said, we played loose because we just felt like, there was so much confidence when you win that many games. There's so much confidence, and we just felt like somebody was going to make a play, and just going even. We'll go a little bit further, but back to the time the Canes went up and played the Irish, the Catholics versus Convicts game.
Right.
I mean, even when we don't get that 2-point conversion, I'm on the sideline thinking the next two plays because we're going to get the onside kick.
Right.
That's how confident we were.
Right.
And Bill, like Bill said, it was somebody was going to make a play to put us in a position to win the game.
Yeah.
You know what game jumped out? K-Lou, the game that jumped out to me that year, and I know you guys remember, we played East Carolina. That was actually the first game I started that year with East Carolina because I think George had something hurt on him. I can't remember. But the one thing I remember about that game, we had 18 personal fouls. Not just penalties. We had 18 personal fouls. And I think they only scored like 7 points. We had like 18 personal fouls that game. They put it in the paper. It was like in the paper.
Only 3 points.
Hey, I think one of the personal fouls was too many guys on the heater on the sideline. Wasn't that Melvin?
I watched the Florida game. Man, let me tell you something. I hit Kerwin Bell so late, so many times. And then I look back at some of these games. Half of us couldn't play the game today on defense.
Targeting.
Targeting.
Because we didn't have anything left in our pockets. We'd be like, what do we do now?
What's that mean, Bill? Hey, Bill, what's that mean?
Hey, Tiger, was that East Carolina game? Was that the game that Jimmy Jones forgot his helmet?
Yep.
That was the key.
And that was
the state.
Hey, Greg, that was also the game where Coach Johnson asked him, what state are we in? And Jimmy said, East Carolina.
That was Safari Jones.
Yes, sir. Private school education.
There you go, Duke.
And I gotta get it in whenever I can, and that's not very often. Rod, they brought up the Catholics versus convicts. Man, talk to us about that sweet towel. Tim Brown.
They don't talk about the Notre Dame win that we crushed them.
We had a lot of guys from Chicago, and just like the Miami game versus Florida State, where we had a lot of guys from South Florida, and the rivalry games, guys played against, knew a lot of those guys in high school. It's kind of similar for us guys from Chicago. You had George Streeter and Chris Zorich and all those guys. And then we had a lot of guys from Chicago, Sully, Russell Maryland, Andre Brown, me, so Barry Panfield. So, that helped hype the game up a little bit as well, and plus they were some assholes, but it was a good deal where, they wasn't as good as us, and, it was one of those deals where we just could kick their ass and, get some hype, and it was that type of deal. So,
hey, that whole thing started.
I got to go back though, because you go back to the '85 game, and Gary, you can chime in here. But so I'm on the sideline. I'm a true freshman, just listening, absorbing everything, and we're kicking. I mean, Hawk, I think you recovered the punt like in the fourth quarter and fell on it in the end zone to make it, 58 to whatever it was, and it was Jerry Faust's last game.
Jerry Faust, yeah.
But so I remember, Gary, in the fourth quarter we called a reverse. And I remember Gary, who was upstairs communicating to Jimmy, saying, "Hey, we're going to call the reverse. Are you okay with it?" And Jimmy's like, Yeah, run that son of a bitch. But, I mean, it was in the fourth quarter, and we had a comfortable lead, to say the least. But yeah, that was part of the whole deal when CBS and Era Parsegian decided not to like us. But
yeah. But you talk about rivals. We know about Florida State. We know about Florida, right? But one rivalry, one team that we played that always gave us some trouble, right? Was a dog fight. Was South Carolina, right? You know, something about them, man. Every time we played them, they always brought their A game, man. Talk about that game.
Hey, we opened that stadium up there in South Carolina. Hey, Bill, what did we beat them? 38-7?
Yeah,
that was like the Odyssey 2000 music. Lights went off. Yeah. The state troopers walked us into thorn bushes outside the stadium. Jimmy was pissed because we're walking down a tunnel and all the lights go off, and we don't know where we're at. But he just opened it up in that game. But the game in Miami against South Carolina, the tight one you're talking about, Mike, that was a fake field goal with Fiegels that put us back in business. After a stub slam dunk of their quarterback, it started a brawl.
And another fight.
Yeah, another fight. But then, Fiegels had a huge fake field goal.
Hey, Bennie, didn't you and Sterling Sharp get into it that game, Bennie?
Oh, Bennie had to leave.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, 7-7. You can speak for him. Jump in there, man.
Nah, man. Hey, I'm getting too old, man, to remember all these games, man. But listen, one thing I can say about our defense, man, the word swarm. That was the key word to our defense. Swarm.
Yeah.
That set us apart.
Yeah.
And somebody on Facebook put all these old games on Facebook, and I watched these games compared to the games that are played today by the UM team. And I'm amazed at, man, because again, to see how we used to run to the ball, it seemed like everybody wanted to make a tackle. And if one guy missed, there were 2 or 3 other guys right there to clean up. And that set us apart to have us to be a top tier defense, man, swarm. So it didn't matter who we played because everybody was running to the ball. Everybody wanted to make the tackle. And I think you don't see that. We're getting back there.
Right.
We're trying to get back there, but back in the day, that set us apart, man. I remember one spring practice, and we didn't care. Like Melvin told a story about Bennie and Brian. One spring, we had a bounty on Michael. We put a bounty on Michael Irvin's head. we said, dude, hold on. We will kill you out here.
Black, hold on a second. You put a bounty on Michael?
We put a bounty on Michael Irvin the whole spring. Dude, we will kill you. You better not catch a ball. You better not even act like you want to catch a ball. We're going to take wood to you. And dude, we had a terrible spring because we're serious. We're serious. We'll kill you out here, dude. No, we had some headhunters, baby. We didn't play. So, man, but,
Black, hold on a second, Black. Tell me about the bounty on Michael, man. What, y'all put money in? Who got the big hit?
Listen. Michael Irvin was a trash talker. We all knew that.
Right.
So he was talking trash about what he was going to do. Dude, we said, okay, we got you. Catch the ball. Yeah, we were trying to kill Michael Irvin. He was short up. Oh, he had short arms. We was trying to kill him.
Hey, listen, hold on, Black. It got so bad, it carried over to the dorm in between breaks. When we had 2 days, Mike had a little 22 little pistol. He got so mad. He was so pissed. We got the best of him. We trying to take a nap. He firing the little pistol. Pow, pow. Y'all come on out now. Come on out now. He was that pissed. He had put the 22 and shot the 22 in the air twice in the parking lot, 36B. We look out the window, Bane and all of them. Man, Mike out there tripping, dog. What's wrong with him, man? He takes it serious.
Hey, Tiger, do you remember when we were up and Coach Stevens is the only coach that was there? Do you remember we're up in the team meeting room and Jimmy was on a recruiting trip?
Absolutely. Mike Irvin and
George Myra.
Two guys, Michael Irvin and George Myra were arguing over country music and rap. We come up to the team meeting room. I'm sitting in the room. He's sitting right in front of me. Here comes Michael Irvin. Hey, George, I'm sorry. George goes, it's cool.
Damn. Yep.
Never forget that was sucker punch, baby. Sucker punch.
Sucker punch.
He got knocked the F out.
Yeah.
I don't see it. It was not a sucker pump the way I remember. George was like, "Let's go," and Michael said, "All right, boom."
All I know, he got put to
He
sleep.
was leaking. He was leaking too.
Oh, he was leaking.
He saw it coming, but he didn't see it coming.
Hey guys, what you don't know is, because Mike told me this, I didn't know this. After he hit George had to go get like dental work.
Oh yeah.
Yo, I mean, he was
He
done.
bet.
Yeah, it was.
He knocked him out.
And then Coach Stevens had to clean all that up.
Coach Steve was like, "Hey, you guys, calm down. We don't need to be fighting." I'm like, "Okay, it's kind of over with now."
Ain't nobody, hey, Tiger, ain't nobody fighting her. So
Nobody's fighting at all. Hey guys,
It's over.
Based on what Selwyn was talking about, I'm gonna give a shameless plug here, guys, because I'm the coach at Robert Morris University, and along with Coach
Yes,
Holden, he's our offensive line coach. And exactly what Selwyn said, man, it is hard to get these young men to do a middle drill. It is hard to get the defense running to the ball. That was something we had to work on for the past 2 years, trying to get 11 guys to the ball over and over. They don't want to do it. These guys, they're more caught up in, right now, even high school guys, if you follow them on Twitter, they're more excited about that than anything else.
Yeah.
If you give them an offer, it ain't got to be a serious. If you just offer them a scholarship, they're gonna put it on Twitter. That's more important. Social media is more important to some of these guys than anything else. A lot of these guys don't want to hit. That's why a lot of guys keep getting hurt. I tell people all the time, you can stop concussions right now if you tell guys to stop diving at people's knees, but they're so scared to hit each other. That's why guys are jumping over each other's heads and everything else, because guys don't want to play ball. So the toughest thing for us when we first got here was to get that toughness, that hardcore mentality here is what we've been trying to do. Coach Holder's doing an unbelievable, a great job with our line. We're bringing nasty guys in here on the line. Everybody's looking for these 6'5", 6'6". Coach Holder's like, give me some 6'1", 6'2" cats that's going to come in here and beat some heads. And that's what we're looking for. We're getting bigger guys. We're getting those guys come in and beat heads. That's the things that are important to us. But it's tough. Like Selwyn said, man, it is tough nowadays to get 11 guys running to the ball with the same attitude, the same aggressive attitude. That's something that we're trying to build here at Robert Morris University.
Hey, Rod, Coach Kehoe still got 3 years left of eligibility.
And he got 2 new hips.
I still don't want to do inside run.
Hey, we used to wheelchair, baby. Put him in the wheelchair. That pursuit drill. I wonder if they still do that. We started our practices.
Yeah. String out drill for the first 20 minutes of every practice. You didn't touch him, you were done.
Hey, Dennis.
I got a story I'd like to say. I don't have too many of them.
No, exactly.
I was with Jimmy Johnson about 3 or 4 years ago. He came to the Eagles for the playoffs, and Wes and I met him at the hotel. And before you know it, we have the whole Fox, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw. We're all telling stories. And, my claim to fame was when Randall Hill leaps across my back, Jason Hicks comes running over me and goes, "Brad, he kicked you." I said, "Jason, if he kicked me, you know what I'm going to do?" And he goes, "No, he kicked you." So here comes the next play. They run a sweep. I run directly to Randall Hill, take his helmet off, sit on his chest, and Jimmy Johnson goes, "Put a guy in for Vespi and put a guy in for Randall Hill and move the practice up 5 yards." Those guys were in shock. They were looking at Coach Johnson like, "Did you really?" You go, "Yeah." He goes, "I let him fight." Yep, I let him fight. They all started cracking up. Then we talked about Claude Jones and Mark Cedars. Anybody remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Before practice, those two were ready to get in a fight, but we got broken up. So before we started practice, Coach Johnson used to put like 2 of the toughest guys together, whatever. He goes, "Hey, I heard, let's have some fun today. Mark Caesar, Claude Jones, jumping on up here." Before you know it, they run at each other. They're going at it. Coach Johnson sends us off to all our individual drills, and like we can't even catch a ball because we're all interested. Now it's turning into Jersey versus Florida. Everybody's talking shit. And sure enough, Mark Caesar is sitting on Claude Jones's chest, punching him in the face, and punching him, and to the point where Coach said, Claude Jones had to look at Jimmy and say, "Coach, get him off, Coach. Get him off." That's how we sell things in the 80s. Like, that's how things are done. And they're all looking at one another like I'm crazy. And Coach Johnson's going, "Yep, that happened. Like that's how it was."
Hey, Selwood, if I tried something like that right now,
Yeah, you go ahead.
You're done.
Job. We have parents over here tomorrow. Get me up out of here. Not just parents, be parents, high school coaches, high school teachers. It's crazy. They try to get me up out of here so quick. It's crazy.
I still remember Brodsky trying to get in between you, Melvin, and so one of the linebackers are trying to break you guys up. I'm like, what? Brodsky had to be 70 then, wasn't he?
With artificial hips.
Oh, Joe.
Hey, John O'Neill, jump in there, man. Talk about Jimmy Johnson, man. What made him special?
You know, I think when you for me and for the team, you know, the thing about Coach really kind of respected what everybody was doing and gave you enough kind of leeway to do your thing, but at the same time treated everybody pretty well. And I think when I think about Coach, the impact on the team was, you know, those Thursday night meetings I think about, right?
Yeah.
So you think about all of us getting together just with Coach. I mean, those are, and talking, you know, I think all that stuff was pretty good, you know, and if you made a mistake and, you know, Coach stuck by you. I mean, I believe that. I think that as long as you didn't do something too stupid, you know, we know a few of those happened over the years, but Coach stuck by you. And, I think that's what really was different. I'm listening to Bernard talk about multiple levels of people after people, and you talk about middle drill and ones against ones. Yeah, that stuff's physical. But, you know, Rod, I think about, you know, going against the scout team. Those are just as physical. You know, I mean, you know, it wasn't kind of half speed or 3/4 speed. It was, those guys wanted to play too, and they wanted to show something, and it was full speed. And, I think a lot of guys always hear say that practice was tougher than the games. And there's no doubt our ones were better than most of the people we would play, but our scout team was just as good as most of the people we would play. And when you hit that all the time, that I think really sets us apart from a lot of other people. And I don't know if my sense is that doesn't happen anymore.
Hey, John, the great thing about what you just said, I do the same thing as a head coach. I have Thursday night meetings with our guys, same thing that Jimmy had with us, because just like you and the rest of the guys, I enjoyed those meetings because those meetings had nothing to do with football. They were all about life, him talking to us about life, about different things. He would let Tobin Bain imitate him, you know, and things like that. That was a great thing about it, you know. But I do those meetings right now with our team on Thursday night meetings.
You don't give out Big Macs, do you?
No, I give
quarter pounders and milk.
Tiger, you had Jimmy. Remember our one Thursday night after the quarter pounder, Steve might have gotten a Big Mac because he was quarterback. Jimmy had it. We probably and Kayla, you brought it up earlier when we were playing. We had a bad week of practice. We're playing somebody that we should be beaten by 40 or 50, and we still had a bad week of practice. So Jimmy was fuming, and he had a story. We usually were in and out in a half hour. You know, Tolbert did an invitation. This one lasted close to 2 hours. We finished our quarter pounders. They fed us during it. He had a story on each individual in that room, everybody on the travel squad, on why you owe him your scholarship.
Yep.
Whether it was going to talk to your mom, I'm going to call your mom, or I'm going to, something happened at the mall, something happened at the dorm. You owed it to him. And that was it. That was, like John said, everybody messes up, and Jimmy understood that. But he also knew he had the goods on you too. Whether it was right or wrong, he knew what he was doing.
Well, hey Greg, why don't you jump in there?
Yeah.
What's that?
I say, go ahead, Greg.
Oh no, I was just going to touch on Jimmy as well, because Jimmy kept it real. He had his psycho analyze everybody, and he would keep you focused, but he kept it real. I remember there was a bunch of guys bitching about he was playing favorites. I don't know if anybody you guys remember this meeting. He comes walking in, does his old lip smacking. He goes, hey, I hear some of you guys are complaining about and saying that I have favorites. Well, I want to straighten this out with you right now. You're goddamn right, I got favorites. Those you guys making plays, you guys doing what you're supposed to do. You're my favorites. You other guys, you're on notice.
Just make sure you're there before that door shuts.
What'd you say, John?
Just make sure you're in that meeting before that door shuts.
Oh, yes, sir. Hey, Melvin. Hey, Melvin. Do you guys remember? You guys remember the beginning of 1987, not the '88 season, when our ticket guy brought in the Florida State ticket guy. He brought him into our Thursday night meeting. I don't know if you guys remember this. And he had a Florida State shirt on. I remember all of us telling the guy, "Hey man, turn that damn shirt inside out." He took the shirt off, turned it inside out, and then Jimmy came into the meeting, and the ticket guy went to shake Jimmy's hand, and all of us said, "Coach, he's from Florida State." Coach Johnson pulled his hand back and looked at this guy, kicked him and our ticket guy out of him. You guys don't remember this? Kicked them both out, and then walked outside and cussed them out outside. I can't believe you guys remember that. I was like, I would never forget that guy brought his ticket. I was like, this guy's in here with a Florida State shirt. We're just about to play Florida State.
No, I remember
that Saturday. Also, it was the 1988 year. The year we blasted.
You made that up, man.
Oh, I'm not. I didn't make it.
No. He's right. Yeah, he's right. No, I remember.
That's great.
Well, Jimmy was hot.
Keo, jump in there, buddy.
Hey, you remember when we went to Oklahoma and we were right there parked in front of the stadium, and all their fans came out and they were flicking us the bird, and Jimmy Johnson got up and said, "They're just telling you you're the #1 team in the country, baby."
All right, hey, speaking of #1 team in the country, man, what's your thoughts on the Hurricane playing Clemson this weekend, man? Let's talk about that. Go ahead, Steve. You can start us off. Excited to watch them. I mean, I didn't get to see much of the Florida State game. I heard it wasn't much of a game anyways, but no, offensively, they seem to have a nice thing going. And then the quarterback brings a lot of versatility. They can call quarterback runs with them, or he can make plays, if there's nothing open in the drop back game. So, that's something they haven't had, that athleticism for several years at the position. So that's, and the fact that he's a 5th-year guy, brings some maturity to the team. And so that's been fun to watch. They got some good weapons, 2 good tight ends, and a good running game. Defensively, haven't watched it all that close, but it seems like they're getting pressure on the quarterback with just the front 4. In years past, it seems like we've had to blitz more to get pressure on the quarterback. And I think they have a good active defensive line. So that's good to see. And, they're going to need everything. They're going to need every break that they can get, because, a team like Clemson, you talk about the confidence that this group of players had in that run from the late 80s into the early 90s. I mean, Clemson's got that going on right now. Yeah, no doubt. Well said. Bill, jump in there, man. What's your thoughts on this Hurricanes against Clemson this weekend?
I see a lot of promise in the team. I haven't been this excited in a long time. Selwyn, these guys can tackle in the open field. Praise the Lord. And they get pressure without gimmicks. They've just got really good, talented people. And like Steve mentioned before, that one tight end, he's unbelievable. And that, the quarterback is quick. I don't know how fast he is, but he just changed direction so fast. That is not the guy as a defensive player you like to play, because he may just nick you for 6, 7, 8, 10 here or there, but you're on the field, you get tired. So I'm cautiously optimistic. We've got an offense that isn't just playing with their food. They want to, put them out of their misery, put the, foot on the gas pedal and score a bunch of points. And we've got a defense that's going out there and bringing it. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
No doubt. No doubt. Greg Mark, what's your thoughts, man? Hurricanes and Clemson this weekend.
Yeah, I want to echo them same thoughts a little bit. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm excited to see what we show up with and how we show up. I had the chance to go to the Florida State game. It was a little bit strange. If you go to a game these days, you kind of have your own row, and you and it's not quite the same atmosphere that we were used to in the Orange Bowl. But I'm glad they're playing, and I'll tell you what I've seen out of this team. I see them playing with a lot more swagger, like everybody likes to use, but they're playing with a lot more intensity. They're playing a lot more team football. The O-line, and I'll give props to the O-line, they were garbage last year. Let's just call it. They were young. They were full of a lot of problems. They really came together, and I think what they're doing is obviously helping that new quarterback and with his skill set. But defensively, I like the two ends. The two guys that transferred in, and they're bringing it. The tackles, they got to come a little way still and stuff, but there's some big bodies taking up blocks, and we got some guys running around. Our defensive backfield might be a little bit of a weak spot right this minute, but they're bringing it. If we can keep that what's his name, number 5? Is it number 5?
Who's that?
He's the one that any minute's going to get a targeting call, but he's bringing it. He's stroking people.
Amari Carter.
Carter. So, and we get some guys coming up and playing with that type of intensity. I'm excited to see what we're going to do this weekend. I just want them to go up there and show out well, because listen, if you add up the scores of the last 2 times we played them, I think we're 100-7 or 100-3, something like that. So we need to go up there and show out and just make this another step in the season, a building block in the season.
Hey, Black, well said, Greg Marr. Hey, Black, you mentioned about swarming being the standard when you guys play defense. Anything you see from this team that stand out that's similar to what you guys did, or what's your thoughts on them overall?
They getting there. I watched them play the offense 2 games ago. I watched them play. And, I look at stats. And when we're giving up so many yards in the air and so many yards on the ground, it speaks volumes.
Yep.
Miami has a top-tier defense, top 10 defense. They ranked in the top 20. But to me, you're not a top defense giving up 400, 500 yards a game. So it doesn't add up. And so until we can improve on those numbers, continue to get better, I just don't want us to go up there and lay a big goose egg. The hype, you're on national TV, the game is hyped. Give it your best effort, man. And if you give it your best effort, and if you will coach, and it's not only players, it's coaches too. You can be out coached. The coaches have to be on their game. The players have to be on their game. And like I say, we just have to have that one mindset, say, hey, let's do this, man. Let's represent the U and let's represent it the right way. And if they do that, man, they'll be okay. Win, lose, or draw. Just don't go up there and lay a big goose egg and get yourself embarrassed on TV.
MB, man, jump in, man. What's your thoughts?
So this is the first time that I'm seeing we have a quad in running backs. You know what I'm saying? That was impressive. I was at the game show, Mike. Thanks for having the show.
There we go again.
I'm still in Wi-Fi, Melvin.
It was a real great experience. But that running game, if we can keep the line healthy, we don't have our yeah. What's wrong, man?
You're breaking up, man.
Hey, man. Anyway, can y'all hear me now?
Can you hear?
Go to the next guy, Mike.
All right, I'll hold right there. I said the running back core that we have to have a man. Y'all go to hell. That's y'all raggedy ass stuff. That's y'all raggedy ass system. Hello.
Next guy, Mike.
Bye.
No,
hey, y'all kiss the baby.
Come on, MB. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Oh, man.
Hell, they say you on Metro PCS, baby. You got to upgrade, baby. You got a flip phone. You got to upgrade.
Oh, man.
Got a flip phone.
Hey, Tiger, you and Ron, I know you too busy watching y'all stuff, so I ain't gonna put y'all on the spot, man. But hey, Coach Kehoe, jump in there, man. What's your thoughts about these Hurricanes playing Clemson this weekend, man?
Here's what I think: they got an open date, and they're on the road. They're getting a bunch of points. I'm betting on the Canes.
Nice, man. I love it.
Hey, I'm back, you gerbils. I'm back.
There he is.
So listen to what I was saying.
Hey, you got somebody else's Wi-Fi. You got somebody else's password.
It's still not working.
Hey, Melvin, stop stealing your neighbor's Wi-Fi and pony up.
Can you put on closed caption?
Yeah, bro, get somebody else too. Yeah. Hurry up, hurry up.
I think Mike, I think what Mel's trying to say, we got to change. I think we're going to run the ball. I think we're actually going to run the ball. All right. And that's our shot. What Melvin said, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what he said. Thanks, man. Go ahead, Mel. Are you good?
Yo,
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Dennis.
Put the flip up.
Hey, I'm out. I'm deucing. Hey.
Hey, Melvin, hey,
Look at that.
Melvin, I didn't know they made rotary cell phones. They got a rotary cell phone now.
Go to hell. Go to hell. I'm out. I'm not coming back no more, man. Y'all don't love your bro, man.
Come on, man. We love you.
He dropped off.
He dropped off.
The Northwestern Bull dropped off.
Hey, he didn't try to hang up.
Good call, Caleb. Good call.
His neighbor caught him stealing the Wi-Fi.
The neighbor took him back.
Hey, Brad, man. Hey, what are they saying about those Hurricanes up there in Philly, man? What's your thoughts, man?
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Brad.
I can see your nose moving, but that's about it, dude.
They ain't let you talk but twice all night.
Where you go now? There you go. Go.
Hey, that's more than we let him talk all year in '87.
Go ahead, Bessie.
Go ahead, Brad.
It's about time we had a team that's in the top 12 at least for the last couple of years. I can tell you that. I think they have a great chance this year. You know, definitely making a major bowl game, and I'm excited about this year. I mean, more than I've been the last couple of years, and we're going to see how the season's no way near over, but they're looking good so far. So that's my take.
Good Lord, Debbie Downer.
That means he's not betting on him.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, Dennis, you're a great translator, man.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly.
Mike, we're from Homestead and Perrine. We do a lot of translating for most of our team. It's usually how it goes, especially with the dudes from Jersey and Tiger from Tampa.
Hey, Mike, the thing I say about Miami, and probably the one thing that bothers me, I think they're playing well. I think they're playing extremely good. The thing that bothers me about the defense is I'm like Bill. I like to see them just play straight up defense. As a defensive coach, as a guy that played in Miami, I like for their base defense to be their best defense. You know, having to blitz all the time and having to do those things but again, I understand the coach is in his second year. He's still trying to feel his way through. They're doing well for their second year. That's what people have to understand. Let the guy get his opportunity to coach this team. You know, don't all of us as alumni, I know we want to get it to happen right now, but it's tough for it to happen right now. Let him take the time to build his team. Do what Coach Davis did during those years when Miami was on probation. And when Greg Morris was there and those guys were there, and they had to turn that thing around slowly, and everybody gave them the opportunity to do it. Do the same thing with Coach Manning. You know, again, I like to see the defense play more base and just get after it a little bit more. But like everyone said, this offense is playing unbelievable. They got 3 great running backs. They got 2 outstanding tight ends. Receivers are working better every week. The O-line's playing well together. You know, and the defense is finally starting to come along. Again, I like to see that base play a little better. But the things that DC is doing are some good things. They're playing well as a team. Let's just, like everyone says, let's just go up there and be competitive against Clemson. I see them winning the game if they do the things they're supposed to do. If they tackle well, like Greg said and Bill said, they tackle well in space and do those things, I think they can be outstanding. We just got to make sure that those guys, that Coach Manning gives his opportunity to build that team. And that's what he's doing a good job of. And let's forget about, I said this last time, Mike, let's forget about, let's bring this back. Don't bring any damn thing back. How about just becoming a good football team and just win some games? Don't worry about what we did in 1987 and 89 and 90. Forget all that crap. Let's do what we need to do in 2020. Let's build a team that can win in 2020.
Well, hey, Tiger, I feel like I'm about to walk out the locker, man. We got 3 things to do. What's that? Hey, great speech, man. Hey, Bill, I know you got to go, man. Appreciate you, man. Any final words before you head out, Bill?
Good catching up, guys.
Like a good one, Bill.
Hey, Butch.
See you, Bill.
Nice hair, Bill.
We appreciate you guys for coming on again, man. It's been a pleasure. We always enjoy when the U in the building, man. Y'all show up and show out always, man. 1987 Natty champs are in the building from sideline to baseline. Listen, we appreciate y'all and we are gone.
Thank you,
night.
brother.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dennis. Go
See you, Rod Holder.
All right, coach.
See you, John O'Neill.
Good job, Michael Barrow.
Thanks, Pete. Greg.
See you
Appreciate
guys.
you, man.
Thanks,
Michael Barrow. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Keto.
Hit the ball right out the park. I'm a crazy
Thanks,
different
Dennis.
athlete, and I can really got talent. Basketball and baseball, two different sports, and I can still balance. Can't forget that football, cause that's really my real passion. Catch me on that big field, and you gon' see my real talent. Sideline to baseline, you know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline, I'ma shoot a shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline, I'ma take it back from the goal line. Sideline to baseline, I'ma shoot a shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline, you know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline, I'ma shoot a shot, I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline, you know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline, I'ma take it back from the goal line. Fourth quarter is goal time. Finish score on the goal line. We fighting for it. I'm about mine. Make it through. We gon' try. Trying to get 6. Can't get 9. Like Dion. It's prime time. I'm on my grind. It's game time. I'm ballin' out. About to eat. They think it's sweet. No need to cheat. They dropping threes. Let's feel the heat. Cross them up. Got his ankles weak. Behind the back. Got him on his knees. Like John Cena. Can't see me. Too fast. Too much speed. See the dust coming from the cleats. Deep tough. No passing me. Sideline to baseline. You know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline. I'ma shoot a shot. I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline. I'ma take it back from the goal line. Sideline to baseline. I'ma shoot a shot. I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline. You know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline. I'ma shoot a shot. I'ma make mine. Sideline to baseline. You know we stay on our grind. Sideline to baseline. I'ma take it back from the goal line. Sideline baseline. Sideline baseline. Sideline baseline.